absolute worst people in the world are? It's people who don't know how to behave in public. It's people who don't know how to behave around other people. It's people, for example, who don't know how to behave in the cinema. When you go to the cinema, when I go to the cinema, when any reasonable person goes to the cinema, they should be able to expect to go into that dark room that they have paid their good money to enter. And they should expect to be able to sit there. They should expect to be able to switch off to the outside world. And they should expect for the 90 minutes, the 2 hours, the 3 hours, however long it is that the movie they are watching runs for, that they do not need to even slightly think about anything else other than what's on that screen in front of them. And so the worst people in the world are people who, for example, talk during that experience. Or people who, for example, take out their phones during that experience. If you are someone who takes out your phone during the movie and looks at it and does anything at all with it, you are in the category, in this group, of the worst people in the world. If you do this, you deserve to be castrated. If you do this, you deserve a fate worse than death. If you do this, you are quite simply an irredeemable human being. It's that simple. It is the ultimate act of selfishness to enter a room like that, a dark room that people have paid money to go into and sit and watch a film and switch off from the world. It is the ultimate act of selfishness for you to go in there and to disrupt or annoy those other people sitting in that room with you. It's not all about you, okay? It's about the people who wanted to be in there. It's about the people around you. And so you should have some common decency and respect. Now, there may be times where people utter a little whisper to the person next to them, and that's not a huge deal. Okay, once or twice, and as long as no one else is being disturbed or can't hear it. But there are people who will go into these rooms and sit there and have full-blown conversations with whoever is sitting beside them. I had it it was the end of last year. I had a really good example of it. I went in to see the Elvis movie. And I sat down and there was a couple of old women who were just a couple of seats down from me. And I swear to God, from the beginning of the trailers right through the entire movie, they were talking. And they weren't just talking about the movie, they were talking about all their life gossip. They were talking about, and I saw Sharon down the park, and I saw Margaret at the bingo, and she was saying this. They were having their gossip. Why on earth did you choose to go to the cinema? Like, clearly you have no interest in actually watching. If you want to have a catch-up, you want to do it, okay, you have your catch-up. But don't have it in the cinema. Don't have it sitting next to me. Those old bats needed a good slap across the face and sent out. And I'm not one who encourages violence. I'm just saying in an ideal world that would just be permitted by law. These people do not deserve to be treated very nicely. But, you know, what's worse than talking to me is, for whatever reason, the one that really, really bothers me is people on their phones. When you're sitting, right, I try my best to sit kind of close to the screen to minimize this as much as possible so that I don't see anyone in front of me that can bother me. But if you are even the middle, anyone in front of you, if they take out their phone, you are aware of it. It does not matter how low the brightness is on that phone. It does not matter what they're doing on that phone. If they take out a phone, it is impossible not to at least see a little glimmer. I mean, I even see a little glimmer when someone walks in the room in the corner. Like, so when there's any sort of light, we're talking about a dark room here, people. A dark room. So even the tiniest bit of light, that I can see that. That is distracting. And my point is, that is for even a split second, I am not able to just switch off from the world. I am now having to think about, oh, that was a phone down there. I don't want to have to think, oh, that was a phone down there. I paid money to come into this room to switch off from reality and enjoy this movie. I don't want to be thinking, oh, that person has a phone. I hope they put it away soon. Are they going to be sitting on there for a while? And before I know it, I've missed a minute of the movie because I'm waiting for this person to put their phone away and I'm glaring down at whatever the hell they're doing. I don't like that. It's not a fun experience for me. It's not a fun experience for anyone. For someone, why are you on your phone? What is wrong with people these days that they can't just go and watch a movie for a couple of hours without looking at their phone? What's so important you have to look at your phone? If you're obeying the rules, people will say, oh, but what if there's an emergency? Well, if you're obeying the rules, you won't even know there's a damn emergency. If you're obeying the rules, your phone's completely silent. If you're obeying the rules, your phone might even be off. So if you're actually going by the rules here, you won't know there's an emergency because you're in this room. And if you have some sort of feeling, what if there is an emergency? Or your phone's on vibrate? Okay, you feel it. Get up, walk out of the room and check your phone. Instead of bothering me, instead of bothering everyone else around you, you can walk out of the room and look. That's what a reasonable and not so selfish person would do. If you check your phone, you are a selfish person. And it's that simple. Same goes, there are people who actually answer their phones. I can't believe it. And people defend this behavior. I see people on TikTok comments saying, oh, it's okay to take your phone out as long as the brightness is down. No, it's not. No, it's not. You little shit. You little shit. And it's always like these 16-year-old boys. Like, fuck you. You little moron. You're a nuisance. Don't go to the cinema. You should be banned for life. I think anyone caught with a phone out in that room after the trailers finish, banned for life. Like, get rid of them. Put them in jail for all I like. Seriously, we need some laws. Put these people in jail for just being such... This is like back to the shopping cart dilemma, isn't it? Like, to see how selfish or how responsible people are in a civilized society. If someone can't even sit for 2 hours to watch a movie without bothering everyone by taking their phone out, answering a call, or talking through it, like, how can we expect them to function as civil human beings in society? It's a very simple test here. Yet people still fail this test constantly. They fail it day after day. Every time I go and see a movie, someone's failing it. I do my best to go when the cinema's the quietest. I try and go midweek, mid-afternoon, when younger people are in school. So there's no chance of them coming and disrupting me during the day. Because the younger ones are usually the ones who are some of the worst. So I try and do it then. I always avoid weekends when I can. Absolutely horrendous. I try and avoid night. Unless, the one exception, like midnight releases, stuff like that, usually there's like a big, huge crowd of people, and if someone's being a nuisance, people will start shouting at them and telling them to fuck off. And so I really appreciate that environment. But Jesus Christ, I see these things on social media, people leaving comments defending this behavior. Like, fuck off. There is no defense for the behavior of taking your phone out in the middle of a movie. There is no defense. If you need your phone, leave the room and look at it. There is no defense. And if you're, like, what do you think people did before the days of mobile phones? Oh, what if there's an emergency? What do you think people did before everyone had a mobile phone? It's not been that long since everyone had a mobile phone. When I was like 12, 13, 14, I only first regularly started having a mobile phone probably when I was like 14. What do you think I did before then if I went to the cinema to see a movie? What do you think happened then? Well, I just dealt with it. I went to see the movie for a couple of hours. I came out knowing nothing else about the world. That's the way the world worked. And that's something that people could still do now if they weren't so selfish. Another thing, I don't understand why it's so frowned upon for people to go to the movies alone. Like, if there is one activity anyone should or could do alone, it's go to see a movie. It's like people who go on dates to the movie. Like, it doesn't, like a first date to the movies. It's kind of stupid because you can't talk. You're not supposed to talk. So you're just like, what's the point? You're just sitting there in silence with someone watching a movie, and then afterwards you might talk about it. But it seems a bit redundant. And I never understand this need for people. They're so self-conscious. So lacking confidence is really what it is. That they have to go with a friend or they have to go in a group to see a movie. They can't just go on their own. I'll go on my own all the time. In fact, I enjoy going to see a movie alone, especially mid-afternoon. Sometimes most of the time I get the screen to myself where there's maybe one other person who's gone on their own who sits over somewhere else. And people say, oh, but that's really sad. That's really embarrassing. What do you mean it's embarrassing? Maybe you're just lacking self-confidence. Maybe there's something wrong with you. That's what I think. If there's any activity you could do, going to see a movie alone is one of the ones that's perfect for doing alone. It's perfect because you're not supposed to talk. Why do you need someone next to you if you're not supposed to be talking in the first place? I can never quite wrap my brain around that. I never quite understand that part. Anyway, worst people in the world, people who annoy Rag Reynolds at the cinema.